Good afternoon. Welcome on in to another episode of From Day One. Today, it's what you call bad to worst day in court. Let's begin courtesy of our friend Law Talk with Mike.
We have two motor vehicles. We have a dog named Otis. These are the issues raised in the petitioner's.
Oh, I forgot about the dog named Otis. Last time I did about 10 minutes worth of this, and I just stopped listening to the facts because this guy had a dog named Otis, and I just figured he wins. The end. That's as much as I needed to hear.
Motion for temporary orders. And in the counter petition, we have just a general statement.
That is correct. I don't think we have any specific requests for relief in the counter petitions that would be relevant to today.
All right. Then, Mr. Clark, you are the petitioner. Why don't you give me by way of opening, a short statement of the relief that you're seeking here for temporary purposes only?
Yes, Your Honor. Judge, probably about a month and a half ago, when Mr. Haygood came onto this case, Your Honor had issued a TRO. We had requested certain things. The issues we have, Judge, is we talked about keeping status quo on the payment of the bills, and we were told we had an agreement on that. We talked about Mr. Laney returning my client's truck to her, and we picked a date, a time, and a place, and we thought we had an agreement on that. That didn't come to happen either. We asked that Mr. Laney return my client's dog to her, which was a gift to her. We had a time, a date, and a place for that. That didn't happen. Since that time, Judge, it has been a nightmare for my client. The bills have been generally being paid as agreed between the parties, or as paid as historical between the parties. We just want to maintain that. We're not looking for anything crazy on that. We would like, as you had ordered in your injunctions or in your TRO, Judge, we would like him to return the truck that he wasn't supposed to take from her. And we'd like him to return the dog that he took, that's presently, he's placed up in Oklahoma at his sister's house. He has come down, and you'll hear my client say that based on deceitful conduct on his part, told her he was just going to replace the key fob to her truck. And then he took the only vehicle she had access to, and he took the dog, and he disappeared out of town. Since then, Your Honor, you're going to hear her testify that
Texas all day long.
It is just an absolute nightmare. She's not getting 1 or 2 calls a day from Mr. Laney. She's getting upwards of 40 or 50 calls some days, text messages, videos,
Okay, that's
harassment. Bad. Mr. Laney has sat in her house. The police have been out to her house several times in connection with this. You're going to hear also that he's told 5 or 6 other people that his actions are getting crazier and crazier and crazier, Your Honor. We have injunctions keeping him away from the house, which we want to keep in place. We have injunctions keeping him away from her place of employment at the French grocer, which we want to keep in place, especially since he's threatened her boss with bodily harm. We are asking that the dog and the truck be returned to her. He has stated several times with regard to the truck that, hey, it's in the shop. I'm just fixing it up for you. I don't want you to drive an unsafe truck, and I'm going to get it to you. Well, now he has all of the vehicles. He has the dog with someone up in another state. He's not agreeing to do anything. And it's a problem, Judge, and we just need that fixed.
Okay, so far he's doing a lot of stupid stuff that's indefensible. I'll say that. But this attorney's position, and I have not watched all this hearing. I see where it goes sideways, but I haven't seen all this hearing. But his position is all we want is the dog, his truck, and him to pay all the bills. What we'd like him to do is to continue to finance everything while homeless. That's all. It's very, very simple.
In addition, Your Honor, I don't know. I told Mr. Haygood, and it's impossible to get a hold of Mr. Haygood. I have 53 calls to him, Judge, and I've never gotten a return phone call. And I understand he's been sick and he's had some issues, but he says he's going to get his client under control. He can't do it, Judge. And at this point, we need assistance from the court, Judge, because we don't have any security at all
Highly recommended.
in Mr. Laney's actions or his payment or his cooperation with anything.
All right. Thank you,
Today,
Mr.
I
Clark.
found out for the first time we actually don't have an agreement that we were told had been made with us.
All right. Well, I'm happy to rule. That's why I'm here. So thank you for your opening. Mr. Haygood, by way of opening.
Yes, Your Honor. I think that we have a very different view of the facts than Mr. Clark has set out. This is a case where my client has been paying what he can pay, but it's a blood from a turnip type situation. While they were married, there were a number of times when we believe that Mr. Laney's testimony is going to show that she was profligate in her spending, ran up some bills on credit cards, and took money that she was not otherwise entitled to take. And as a result of that, Mr. Laney has been trying to
I
pay
don't
some
think
of
so.
that debt down to try
would be
to
awesome.
ease the burden on her. But he can't continue to maintain a separate household after she kicked him out, pay for his bills and his expenses, and then pay for hers as well. Mr. Laney will testify to you about the status of the truck, where that is. I think you'll also hear some testimony that she has had access to other vehicles and been able to utilize those. So it's not that she's been totally left without any vehicles. We expect the testimony today is going to show that the dog Otis is a dog primarily for my client, that it was not a gift. And so he would.
We've never seen Otis, and I'm telling you right now, I know my chat. There's not a person in my chat who would not adopt Otis today.
Like to hold on to Otis.
We don't even know what he looks
for
like.
temporary orders. In terms of our request for today, Judge, we're just going to be asking for a date certain for my client to get some of his personal belongings out of the house. I don't think that you'll hear any contesting that she could have the temporary and exclusive use of the house, or even necessarily the temporary and exclusive use of the truck that we're talking about. But certainly we would contest him having to continue to pay all of the bills while at the same time trying to protect his credit score from some of the spending that she has taken out in the past couple of months. I also think that I don't think you're going to hear anything about any behavior on his part that's put anyone
link to Natalie D.
danger or been a threat to someone or something like that.
In the description below.
That's what I expect the testimony today is going to be, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. Well, let me ask the two lawyers, do you intend for your two clients each to testify here today?
I do briefly, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Let me have Mr. and Mrs. Laney raise your right hands, hold them up where I can see them. Do each of you solemnly swear the testimony you'll give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Lower your hands, please. Mr. Clark, you are the movant. You may call your first witness.
Judge, I'd call the petitioner, Ms. Laney.
All right,
Oh,
Ms.
here we
Laney, it
go.
is your turn to testify. You are now under oath. Tell me your full legal name, please.
Johnny Jack Robbins Laney.
Mr. Clark, your witness.
Okay, Mr. Clark is calling his own client as a witness. What could possibly go wrong?
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to show you what we have marked as Exhibit P1. You heard Mr. Haygood that you have other vehicles to drive. Y'all basically had two vehicles that were operable in this marriage, correct?
Yes, sir.
Who has those vehicles now?
John Chance Laney.
And the 2017 Chevy Silverado 1500, was that the vehicle that you drove?
Yes, sir.
He's saving.
And is he in possession of that right now?
Yes, sir.
What have you had to do to make arrangements to have a vehicle since he took that?
My mother had to come down, and I've been driving her 2007 Navigator that's got over 450,000 miles on it and no air conditioner.
So you've had to borrow a old vehicle from your mother, correct?
Yes, sir.
While Mr.
Oh.
Laney is sitting up in Odessa with both of the trucks that are in good condition.
Yes, sir.
Has he promised to return the truck to you before?
Multiple times.
Has he done so?
No, sir.
Is this the truck that you had a prior owned vehicle that was traded in for?
Wasn't traded. He sold it to a private friend of his. And then he bought this vehicle in substitute.
During your marriage?
Yes, sir.
Are you asking that the 2017 Chevrolet Silverado be returned to you Friday at 6:00 p.m. in front of the Justice of the Peace Office in Marathon, Texas?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, there's a Boston Bulldog named Otis. Whose dog is that?
He bought that dog for me.
That was a gift to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at the time that Mr. Laney came down and took possession of the Chevy Silverado, did he also take possession of the dog?
Yes, sir. He sure did.
Did you hear me in my opening statement say he did this in a deceptive manner?
Yes, sir.
How did he do this? What did he tell you in order to gain possession of both the truck and the dog?
He came in while I was at work and asked to have access to the truck. Prior to that incident, he had lost one of the 2 key fobs to that truck, so it was down to 1. And he had purchased another key fob, according to him, and he wanted the truck so that he could gain computer access so he could program the key fob, the new key fob.
So he told you he brought you a new key fob for the truck and wanted to hook it up to the truck.
Yes.
And what did he do when you gave him the keys to do that?
He took my truck and left.
With the dog?
Yes, he called the dog and put the dog in the truck and left.
Okay. And you haven't seen that truck back, correct?
No, sir. Or the
You
dog.
haven't seen the dog back, correct?
No, sir.
Where's the dog located right now?
To my knowledge, he's in Oklahoma City with his mother and his sister.
So he just took the dog away from you, and he doesn't even have the dog, correct?
To my
Objection
knowledge,
under
she
the
does not.
speculation.
She knows. She said to
Ma'am,
her knowledge.
do you know this based on information you've been told by Mr. Laney and other members of his family?
From his friends and other members. Yes, sir.
Now, ma'am, D here is a repeat of the same truck up there. You're asking that you have use of the 2 horse trailers there at the house that are still in Marathon, correct?
Yes, sir.
What did he take with him? He took a dually pickup truck, correct?
Correct.
And he has a RV up there,
Yes, sir.
and he's staying somewhere in the Midland, Odessa area at an RV park.
To my knowledge, yes, sir.
We had a TRO, did we not, that prevented him from taking the dog and the truck, did we not?
Yes, sir.
And he's taken them regardless, right?
Correct.
We also have, for a month and a half, been lighting up Mr. Haygood on getting Mr. Laney under control, have we not?
Yes, sir.
And it hasn't been successful, has it?
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
Ma'am, I'm going to show you an exhibit which is marked for identification purposes as P4. Do you recognize this exhibit, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Is this basically the last 10 days, 12 days of communications between Mr. Laney and you?
Yes, sir.
So ma'am, this starts September 7th, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it shows how many text messages and phone calls a day he's sending to you, does it not?
Yes, sir.
And he's doing it late at night and early in the morning, is he not?
Primarily, yes, sir.
Have you responded to one single message?
No, sir. Not since he took the truck.
So like, for example, Sunday on September the 10th, he's texting and calling you at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
The next day on September 11th,
Okay, that's
2:40
crazy.
in the morning, 8:12 in the morning, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then, ma'am, last week on the 12th, it
Law Talk with Mike officially does not condone this behavior.
just got way out of control, did it not?
Yes, sir.
Between 12:45 a.m., 12:53 a.m., 1:08 a.m., 1:09, 1:11, 1:12, 1:14, 1:17, 1:17, 1:17. He started lighting you up in the middle of the night, did he not? Nonstop the entire night. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
He's making phone calls
Good
to you.
point.
He's sending videos to you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And this continued past
Agreed.
1 in the morning to 1:30, 1:45, 2 in the morning, correct?
Yes, sir.
Making phone calls again to you at 2:16 in the morning,
The
correct?
whole flock.
Yes, sir.
Videos at 3 in the morning, 3:44 in the morning, starts calling you on the phone, 5 in the morning, 5:52, 6:20, 6:21, texting you all the way through noon that day when he's sending you a video text, correct?
Correct.
All that afternoon, up until about midnight again that night, he keeps doing this, correct?
Correct.
Ma'am, you took all these entries off of your cell phone
I don't even want to know what this video text was. There may have been a D involved.
records and your phone logs, correct?
I'm not talking about a dog.
Correct.
And you've typed this down as a summary of information so that the court can see what you're going through with this man, correct?
Correct.
Continued on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this weekend. So even Friday of this weekend, after we reached out to Mr. Haygood last week and he said he's gonna put a stop to it, it still hadn't stopped, has it?
No, sir.
Saturday, the same thing, midnight, 3 in the morning.
I have no idea. This is pure speculation. I don't know if it's involved at all, but I'm just gonna pose a question that's running through my mind. What are the chances that meth are involved here? It's not the usual generation I would think of, but this is crazy stuff, or other substances.
Morning, calling you at 3:05 in the morning. This is just like the last 10 or 12 days, right?
Yes, sir.
Man, this is the kind of garbage that's been going on for 2 months now, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Longer.
And we have injunctions that say that this is supposed to stop and it's not supposed to happen, but it doesn't seem to help, does it?
No, sir.
Mr. Laney's not going to listen to anyone tell him anything that he doesn't want to do, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, to speculation.
I'll rephrase. Ma'am, in your history and your opinion of Mr. Laney's conduct based on your knowledge of him over the past few years of your marriage, do you think
Yes.
that he's going to listen to anyone tell him what to do or what not to do?
No, sir.
He's going to do whatever he wants, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
Judge, I'd offer P4 as a summary and as a shorthand rendition of my client's testimony.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Admitted.
Now, ma'am, in
That's my
addition to
thought.
that,
That's my thought.
it's not just limited to you, is it?
Could just be
No,
good
sir.
old fashioned alcohol, but I doubt it.
Who is Ada Robbins?
My mother,
Where does she live?
Sanderson, Texas.
And has she experienced the same kind of contact from Mr. Laney?
Yes, sir.
And did your father, her husband, recently pass away?
Yes, sir.
And he's still lighting her up, isn't he not?
Yes, sir.
Is he sending pictures of sexually inappropriate items to your mom, to the Presbyterian church ladies in Sanderson, to 17 members of your family?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'd object to relevance and best evidence on that.
It's overruled. Go ahead.
Is there any reason whatsoever?
Okay, this is too inside baseball, but a best evidence objection there is fantastic. We found out. We already know if you saw the other video what there's. I wouldn't go down this path. I think Attorney Clark, he's got a lot of good material here. I wouldn't say he's sending lewd stuff when it's pictures of her stuff. I just not the path I would have chosen.
For this, Ms. Laney?
No, sir.
Ma'am, who's Curtis Evans?
He's a very long family friend of mine, and he's also the county, I think he's the county judge in Fort Davis, but he's a very long, outstanding friend of Chance's also.
Just stop it.
Ma'am, are you a whore?
I object to the relevance of that, Your Honor.
All right. What?
I'll tie it up real quick, Judge.
No,
All right,
sir.
go ahead.
You're not a whore? Well, I mean, are you out screwing Sam Stavanova?
This is his own client, people. I get what he's trying to do, but boy, does he make his client look horrible trying to help her. Both from the prior line of questioning and times 1,000 with this.
As
No.
Mr. Laney has accused you of?
No, sir.
Who is Sam Stavanova?
The owner of my grocery store.
Are you likewise in a lesbian relationship with a young woman that works at your grocery store named Angelina Taylor?
No, sir.
What about
I don't even know what that means.
Mr. Laney's former best friend? Well, no. Does he also accuse you of having numerous affairs around the Marathon area?
Yes, sir.
Have you been unfaithful to Mr. Laney one single time since your marriage?
No, sir.
Ma'am, I'm going to show you Petitioner's Exhibit 9.
Just good old fashioned regular baseline
Ma'am,
crazy,
is this
huh?
a text message you recently received from Mr. Laney where he's going to beat the brakes out of Sam for what happened to you and him, and that he will hurt because he cost him the love of his life and he will pay in blood?
Yes, sir.
Is that something that you received from Mr. Laney directly?
Yes, sir.
Judge, I'd offer P9.
Your Honor, I don't recall receiving a copy of that in the email earlier today that had a copy of the exhibits for the hearing. But other than that, I don't have a specific objection to it.
All right, P9's admitted.
And ma'am, if I show you P8, this was kind of your concern last week, was it not? When he sends you a message here saying, you need to tell me what our future is. I'm at Firestone to get your front end fixed on the truck if you want to work out our marriage or not. I'm sorry, this is from a lot longer ago, isn't it?
Yes, sir. That's right after he took the truck from me. That's either the day he took it or the day after.
And he says he's going to take it to the auction on Thursday, correct?
Correct.
Judge, I'd offer P8.
No objection, Judge.
P8 is admitted.
Okay, ma'am, and I'm sorry. Last week, P7 here. Text message from Mr. Laney. Mr. Laney's texting you late at night here, complaining that you can talk to his best friend, but not to him. And then he says, if he is there, I will fuck him up. I'm on the way. He's there. And then 22 minutes later, I love you, baby. These are the kinds of messages he keeps sending you, right?
Yes, sir.
Judge, I'd offer P7.
No objection, Judge.
7 is admitted.
And man, the problem with Mr. Laney is he kind of comes and goes, and even though he's not supposed to be at your house or near your house, he still comes back, doesn't he?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to show you Exhibit 6, which is photograph. Is this a photograph, ma'am, that you took?
Yes, sir. I don't know if I took it or if the deputy sheriff, Alex Rodriguez, took it, but,
Is this a water tank that's in back of your house?
yes, sir. It was, like we use it like as a swimming pool.
And
Oh,
ma'am, is
sweet
this in the
Jesus.
bottom of the top picture here? Is this a pickaxe?
Yes, sir.
And what happened to that water tank?
Wait, did she just say they use it as a swimming pool? What is this freaking Little House on the Prairie? What is going on?
Ma'am?
Chance put a pickaxe through it 5 different times. At
So
one
he-
time, I mean, he put 5 holes.
He shows up at your house and completely trashes the water tank by burning the bottom of it.
Correct.
Judge, I'd offer P6.
Any objection?
May I take a witness on board hire on this, Your Honor?
You may.
Ma'am, do you recall when this photograph was taken?
There would be a date on it. You'd have to look, or I could look up the date.
Well, I don't have a copy of it to look at, ma'am. Can you tell me what you recall about when this photograph was taken?
Sure. I was at my mother's house. My father had just recently passed, the day before.
When did your father pass?
Excuse me?
When did your father pass?
Approximately 2 months ago.
Okay, so this would have been prior to you and Mr. Laney splitting up?
Oh, no, sir. It's after.
And you weren't there at that time.
Did he put the pickaxe through? No, sir.
Well, that's my question, ma'am. Did you see him do that?
No, sir.
Did he tell you that he did that?
Yes, sir. I have text messages.
And he told you that he used the pickaxe on the water tank?
Yes, sir. He told me it was his water trough and he could destroy it if he wanted.
That concludes my voir dire, Your Honor. I don't have an objection.
P6 is admitted.
And ma'am, in the affidavit that you previously filed with the court to get this hearing, you mentioned that incident. You give the specific date and time and everything about it, correct?
Correct. A
Ma'am,
sheriff
in addition to threatening your boss, has Mr. Laney threatened anyone else and their physical safety?
Yes, sir. Anybody that's at my house.
Anybody that's at your house?
Stop.
Correct.
And is that why in the injunctions we have it that he's not to be within, I think it's 250 feet of your house?
Correct.
Ma'am, Exhibit 3 are the agreed injunctions, are they not? And he's supposed to stay 250 feet away from your house. He can't kick you out of the house. He's supposed to stay 250 feet away from your employment. He's not supposed to enter or operate control over the Chevy Silverado. He's not supposed to remove Otis the dog from you, correct?
Correct.
And he's not supposed to mess with the Palomino mare known as Dolly that's in your backyard, correct?
Correct.
Has he threatened to come take Dolly before?
Yes, sir.
And these are the orders signed by Judge Ferguson, correct?
Correct.
In addition to the TRO signed by Judge Ferguson, correct?
Correct.
The judge would offer P3 as a accurate copy of your order in this case.
That is admitted, and I'll take judicial notice.
So ma'am, at 6 o'clock on this Friday afternoon, over in front of the Marathon Justice Center where the JP's court is, right next to the library,
Yes, sir.
you've already talked with the sheriff's department and they're able to come out there and do a standby if he delivers these items to you, correct?
Correct.
And Sheriff Dodson knows Mr. Laney pretty well, doesn't he?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, since your separation, Mr. Laney has called and even harassed Sheriff Dodson over and over in the past month as well, correct?
Correct.
And Mr. Laney's been told in no uncertain terms not to come back to Marathon and to stay away from you in the house, correct?
Correct.
Yet he still makes threats in the middle of the night to come F up anyone that's there. And he still says that he can come do anything he wants, right?
Correct.
Now he has some clothes left at the house, true?
Yes, sir.
If he brings these items down to you 6 o'clock on Friday, like we previously had agreed to, that's apparently now been reneged on by Mr. Laney, can you have all of his clothing that remains in the house boxed up and ready for him to pick up and take?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, is what you're requesting just and right?
Yes, sir.
Do you think it's fair?
I believe so.
Objection.
Yes, sir.
Nothing further, Judge. Pass the witness.
Mr. Haygood, you may proceed.
My God, you can't have a litigant, verify their own, request of the court. That's silly.
With cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Laney, if I understood your testimony on direct examination, you do have a vehicle available to you from your mother.
Correct.
Does she have any other vehicles that she can drive?
She has my father's truck.
Would that vehicle be available to you if you needed it?
I'm sorry, you broke up. I'm very sorry.
That's fine.
Lyler could
Would
straighten this
that
out.
vehicle be available to you if you needed it?
Objection relevance, Your Honor, as to the assets of the community estate.
Overruled. Go ahead and answer the question, Ms. Laney.
Yes, sir. And yes, sir.
And y'all split back in June of this year?
Yes, sir. Approximately.
And
Well played.
since that time, Mr. Laney hasn't done anything to try to remove you from the house or kick you out of there or anything like that.
No, sir.
In fact, it's safe to say that he doesn't want this divorce, does he?
No, sir.
The communications that he has had with you, although they may have come at inconvenient times, those communications haven't been threatening to you, have they?
Not.
Oh, poor attorneys. Okay, the communications may have come in inconvenient times, and at a somewhat annoying volume.
True, sir.
They have been.
Yes, sir.
With regard to the stock tank that we were talking about a little bit earlier, was that back in June of this year?
I can't remember if it was June or July.
Had y'all attempted some type of marriage counseling or something like that prior to it?
Not necessarily marriage counseling. He was going to counseling. I was going to counseling. I agreed to go to his counselor so that I could tell him I wanted a divorce. I had been telling him I wanted a divorce, and it was like talking to a brick wall. So my counselor and I had decided that if I went to his counselor and I said it in front of him and his counselor, he might accept it. It did not work.
And about your horse, Dolly, that horse is there on your property.
Correct.
To your knowledge, no one has ever come and tried to take the horse away.
Not true. Mr. Laney actually tried the day that he took the truck and Otis. The little one horse trailer was not here. He was quite upset about it. So therefore he was not able to take the mare.
Now, ma'am, you weren't at home whenever this happened, were you?
I was at work.
So you weren't at home.
No, sir, I was at work.
So you have no idea what actually happened at your home.
I know what he texted me.
But you weren't there to see it with your own eyes.
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
I'll move on, Judge. Your dog Otis. When do you contend this dog was purchased for you?
Chance found him on Facebook, showed me the pictures when he was not even available to take yet. Told my entire family and myself that he had purchased this dog. We went to Pampa, picked the dog up.
Do you know if it has been advised by Mr. Laney's counselor that he retained that dog for therapy purposes?
Objection calls for speculation, calls for hearsay.
Sustained, but Mr. Haygood, I'm looking at the injunction, the agreed injunction and the order I signed, which seems to prohibit him from taking custody of the dog away from her. So what am I missing here?
I think that was signed after he actually had the dog, Your Honor.
Judge, the agreed injunctions are what we worked out when we originally had an agreement, and council stated that Mr. Laney was going to bring the dog and the truck back month and a half ago, whenever he made his appearance, and it hadn't happened. And for him to sit here and claim that it's a therapy dog, he doesn't even have it. It's in Oklahoma.
Don't shift into argument.
And with that, we're going to leave the afternoon for a close. Come on back tonight. We'll continue this case here on From Day One.